Never in recent history has America's political landscape seemed so polarized. Many have attributed this to strong division to President Trump. However, America has never been prospering like it is under the Trump administration. The stock market is selling at record heights and unemployment is at record lows. So, what is the real source of division? We'll answer on today's edition of End of the Age. This is going to be a very important broadcast today because I've been listening to a lot of talk programs and they're going back and forth, for President Trump, against President Trump, and all of this discussion and conflict. But to my astonishment, even those that are defending President Trump don't seem to really understand where all the invective is coming from. Where's all this animosity? What really does it mean? Well, we're going to talk about it for a while today because I think it's important that we really understand. You know, if you don't know what the target is, it's hard to hit it. And if you don't know what the issues are, it's hard to make a responsible decision. Now, all this is connected to Bible prophecy, believe it or not. And that's what's really interesting about this whole situation. Now, before we dive into our subject today, I've got something I'm really excited about. We have a special Revelation promotion that I want to give to you right now. Now, listen close, because perhaps you've wanted the new Revelation commentary, but you haven't been able to afford it, perhaps. Well, we've got a plan. To anyone who will become a new $50 or more monthly partner with Time Ministries, or if you're already a partner, if you will increase your partnership by at least $50 per month with Time for the next 6 months or more, we will send you our beautiful new series, Revelation, the unveiling of Jesus Christ. Nothing like it in the whole world. Nothing ever produced like it before since the book of Revelation was written 2,000 years ago. Now it's available. Okay. Now this will include 10 dramatically animated DVDs plus the beautiful accompanying hardback book. And we can still get this to you by Christmas if you sign up by the 18th of this month. In other words, do it right now. Simply call 1-800-END-TIME, that's 1-800-363-8463, or go to endtime.com/rev50. To get this deal, you must give $50 today and sign up for auto pay with your credit or debit card or bank account and cover shipping. Once again, call 1-800-END-TIME, 363-8463, or go to endtime.com/rev50. Now hurry, this offer is only available for a limited time, but I'm so excited about it because I felt like this would bring this into a realm of possibility. With just a $50 donation today, plus covering the shipping, you can get this immediately. Now you're committed, of course, to 6 months of $50 partnership, and we hope you won't stop after the 6 months. But if you do, that's fine. Anyway, and another thing, let me remind you, 8 special deals for Christmas. Go to endtime.com, and there you'll see right there on the home page, big, bold, the 8 spatial deals. Look through there. I'm sure there's something that you'll be interested in. So I was so excited because, of course, this is the work of my life, the Revelation commentary. It's the work of my life, and I wanted you to have it. So we devised a way to make it much more affordable for you, and you can do that right now. So call us, 1-800-END-TIME. Do it today. Okay, now we're going to talk today about globalization. What is the real issue? I mean, all of these things, is it really the Ukraine? Is it really other things that President Trump has done? What is the real issue? I came across an article. It's entitled Chained to Globalization, Why It's Too Late to Decouple. Now, this comes from Foreign Affairs magazine, this new edition. Now, here's what you got to realize. Foreign Affairs is the official publication of the Council on Foreign Relations. And the Council on Foreign Relations over the last 50 years has supplied 50% of all cabinet members, whether the Republicans were in power or the Democrats were in power. Now, this makes this interesting because they're the ones that have been pushing globalization for so long. They've been pushing toward a socialist global government for a long time. Now, we're going to tell you what they say in this article. It really is an eye-opener, so stay with us.
About our trip, it was a wonderful experience. We totally enjoyed the time spent with other believers, worshiping and experiencing the places where Christ walked. One of our favorites was being on Mount Moriah, where the Holy of Holies are, the Dome of the Spirit. And the teachings that Brother Baxter did was so enlightening. It was so much to take in. It will take us another month or two to really grasp the full extent of the knowledge we received on this trip. Our tour guide in Israel was fantastic. He was very knowledgeable. I think God chose him just for us. Thanks, Jana. Our lives will never be the same. We will try to do this tour again. Mike and Julie L., Cayman Islands.
Join us May 1st through May 16th, 2020, for a trip to the wonderful land of Israel and the Holy Roman Empire reborn.
We've seen Bible prophecy fulfilled like never before. From the halls of the United Nations to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, Time Ministries continues to reveal the Bible prophecy in the news headlines around the world every day. Whether it's through our broadcast or online at our Jerusalem Prophecy College, your gifts enable us to put vital materials in the hands of those who need it most. Because of you, we continue to replace fear with faith in the hearts of Christians around the world. We will continue to see prophecy come to pass at an even swifter pace. We need your support. Your donation of any amount enables us to continue to broadcast and be a voice in the ever-growing censored media. To become a partner or give a one-time gift, visit endtime.com or call 1-800-END-TIME right now. That's 800-363-8463. Go online now. Visit endtime.com.
Now, this article comes from the Foreign Affairs magazine, the January-February 2020 edition, the brand new edition, just out. Now, here's some of the excerpts about global governments and globalization. In 1999, the columnist Thomas Friedman pronounced the Cold War geopolitical system dead. That was the fall of the Berlin Wall, of course, back in 1989. And so they were saying that the Cold War is over. The world, he wrote, had gone from a system built around walls to a system increasingly built around networks. As businesses chased efficiency and profits, maneuvering among great powers was falling away. An era of harmony was at hand, in which states' main worries would be how to manage market forces rather than one another. Now, I wanted you to make sure you get this. Once the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, it was declared we were in a new world order. Now, Friedman was right that a globalized world had arrived, but wrong about what that world would look like. Instead of liberating governments and businesses, globalization entangled them. Stop there and think about that. So the globalization was entangling. Now, as digital networks, financial flows, and supply chains stretched across the globe, states, especially the United States, started treating them as webs in which to trap one another. Today, the U.S. National Security Agency, normally called the NSA, lurks at the heart of the internet, listening in on all kinds of communications. The U.S. Department of Treasury uses the international financial system to punish rogue states and errant financial institutions. Globalization, in short, has proved to be not a force for liberation, but a new source of vulnerability, competition, and control. Networks have proved to be less paths to freedom than new sets of chains. Governments and societies, however, have come to understand this reality far too late to reverse it. Now, this whole article is saying, sorry about your luck. If you don't like the way things are, it's too late to get out. Then, continuing on, in the past few years, Beijing and Washington have been just the most visible examples of governments recognizing how many dangers come with interdependence and frantically trying to do something about it. Now, let's look at what the real goal of the globalist is and has been. Now, let me take you back to the political campaign when President Trump was merely a candidate, standing with 16 other Republican candidates for president. When they came to him, right out of the gate, he begins to bang away at globalism and the establishment. Well, when he talked about the establishment, he was talking about both Democrat and Republicans. He basically had to run as an independent because both Republicans and Democrats had a vested interest in the establishment. They were so entrenched that no matter which side you voted for, it was almost like voting for Tweedledee or Tweedledum. And all of us realized that, and many people had come to sit out the elections. They were so frustrated and thought they were so hopeless. But when this new voice came on the political platform, everybody perked up their ears and said, maybe there is hope to get rid of this same old one world government, socialist leaning plan that has now captured both parties. So that's what happened. Well, with President Trump being adamantly opposed to global government, a lot of the people of America that were also opposed said, I'm voting this time. So the polls all lied to the pollsters because they weren't polling the people that hadn't been voting for the last 10, 15, 20 years. And they didn't reckon for this landslide of voters that were coming out of the closet and saying, okay, I'm going to give it one more chance. This guy sounds different than the regular people that we've been voting for the last 20, 30, 40 years. We've got hope here to break this stranglehold that these establishment politicians have upon us. Well, to everybody's shock, President Trump won the election. As a matter of fact, Hillary Clinton was the most shocked of all. She wrote a book entitled it, What Happened? You know, it's so humorous because I'd been saying for years, I picked up a slogan somewhere. Some people make things happen. Some people watch things happen. And some people wonder what happened. I was so amused when she actually decided to name her book, What Happened? Well, she's still trying to figure that out, and it appears she may be mulling about running again. Nevertheless, that's not the issue here today. Now, here's what was so interesting. The very day that President Trump was inaugurated, I'm talking about January the 20th of 2017, that day the Washington Post ran an article entitled, "The Campaign to Impeach President Trump Has Begun." Can you believe it? I mean, the guy, within minutes of making his inaugural speech, the most influential paper in America, ran this article, "The Campaign for Impeachment Has Begun." I would remind you that the Washington Post is the home of the Associated Press. You see that little AP beside articles in the newspapers all around America. They've had a virtual lock on media for a long, long time. And here they are, within minutes of his inauguration, saying the campaign for impeachment has begun. Now, that's shocking. So, I mean, they were so determined, and they haven't stopped. Not just the Washington Post. We're talking about all of the people that believed in globalism, that believed that America needed to move away from the nation-state system to a system of global governance. They've been pounding away for the last 3.5 years. I mean, right out of the gate, they started trying to impeach. And the Mueller report went on and on and on and on. And many people thought, oh, we'll get rid of this guy because he's tearing up our playhouse. He's getting rid of all of the perks and the advantages. He's cleaning the house. And we thought we had it made, our one world governmental system. Now that he's destroying the whole thing, he's pulled us out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. He's pulled us out of the Paris Climate Change Accord. And one thing after another, he is getting rid of all of the different regulations that were passed, like a bucket of peas being poured out of a 5-gallon bucket. I mean, so many regulations after regulations. And he promised for every new regulation he passed, he would remove 2 of them. He was so against all of these governmental regulations that nobody voted on, but they were passed by the bureaucracy. Well, he's done better than that. For every regulation he has passed, he has removed 8 of them. Consequently, all of a sudden, it's like business they've had the straitjacket taken off of them. And now they can breathe. And then came this big tax cut so that money could be brought back into the United States. And all of a sudden, the economy is booming, booming. I mean, it's like in an unprecedented fashion. And then it's not long until the unemployment goes to the basement, lowest it's been in forever. And black unemployment, Hispanic unemployment, Asian unemployment, women's unemployment. I mean, everybody's working, things are moving, and everybody's thinking, you know, this is pretty good. But the media is pounding away day after day, at morning, noon, and night. Impeach, 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 impeach. And everybody's saying, why are they not happy now? Well, the Mueller report was supposed to be the key to impeaching them, but it comes out, no collusion. They had been pounding away about Russian collusion for 3 years, and all of a sudden, what are we going to talk about now? No collusion. But they kept looking, and now they've come up with something else. They've come up with this conversation. I don't know whether you've read the conversation about Ukraine or not, but that's not really the point. That's not really what I want to talk about today. But I want to talk about why. Now, at the moment, the new commander-in-chief was sworn in. A campaign to build public support for his impeachment went live at impeachdonaldtrumpnow.org. I mean, this is the day of his inauguration. This was spearheaded by two liberal advocacy groups aiming to lay the groundwork for his eventual ejection from the White House. Because you see, we were on the brink of moving into the system of global governance. President Bush Sr. even talked about we're going to have a new world order. And nobody knew what that meant for sure. But what it really meant was we're moving into a world government where the United Nations can be at the head of all the governments, and we will get rid of all the armies of the world. We'll have one army at the UN, and it will enforce world law. That's what it really meant. Okay. Now, I've got to ask you something. In spite of the fact that President Trump has had to endure these continual, unrelenting assaults upon him, I mean, they've examined everything they can examine to try to find a way to impeach this president. And yet, while all that is happening, America has become an exporter of energy. First time ever. I mean, we were under threat of being blackmailed by OPEC back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, they jacked those prices up so high it was killing us. Today, they couldn't do that if they wanted to, because President Trump's policies have allowed America to produce fuel at our true potential, and we're even exporting energy. We've become the world's #1 producer of energy. Could you have believed it if you lived back 20 or 30 years ago? Never would have believed it. So how's all this happening? In spite of this relentless pressure and these incredible attacks, how's the stock market setting records? How's the unemployment down at the bottom? Everything's booming. Everything's going. How? I want to ask you this question. Is there a chance that God is fighting for President Trump? You know, the Bible does say that God puts kings up and he puts kings down. Let me read a scripture for you. It's in Genesis chapter 12, verse 3. God was talking to Abraham, the father of the Jewish people. And he said, "And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed." Now think about this. God said, I'm going to bless you. Those that bless you, I will bless them. Those that bless you, Israel. Well, President Trump announces that he's recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Now, the world said, you can't do that. The United Nations, they call a special emergency council to try to stop it. You can't do that. But Trump didn't waver. He also said, we're moving our embassy there. Nobody, zero, had their embassy in Jerusalem. But all of a sudden, this unusual president said, we're going to do this. Now, why? I can imagine as he's trying to put the deal of the century together, you know, he's got a peace plan for the Middle East. And don't say it won't work, because everybody keeps underrating President Trump, and he continues to surprise. Well, anyway, I can imagine when he brought in Jason Greenblatt and his son-in-law. They're the ones that were putting this peace deal together, Jared Kushner, and said, okay, boys, is this going to work? Do we have a plan that'll work? What can stop us? And I can see Kushner and Greenblatt as they say, well, President Trump, one thing, the status of Jerusalem. Trump says, that's all? Yeah, we think we can solve everything else. We think we can get agreement between the Palestinians and the Israelis on everything else, except they're not budging on this status of Jerusalem. Trump said, well, let me ask you a couple of questions about that. Trump has an uncanny way of cutting to the core of an issue. He said, so how many years has East Jerusalem been the capital of the Palestinians? Kushner and Greenblatt said, none, never. Trump said, never. He said, well, how many years has Jerusalem been the capital of Israel? Well, except for when they were in exile, 3,000 years. It all began in 1000 BC. And then as soon as they're reestablished as a nation in 1948, they again adopted Jerusalem as their capital. Trump said 0 to 3,000. Boys, it's a no-brainer. Israel should have its capital in Jerusalem. It's never been the capital of Palestinians. They obviously only want it because that's Israel's capital. It's the heart and soul of the Jewish nation. And so he made this bold move to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital and to put our embassy there. Well, it produced a great outcry, but in so doing, the blessings of God just keep on coming. Everybody tries to trip Trump up, but it just seems like success after success after success after success keeps coming. They try to stop him from building the wall, and he manages to do it anyway. And the very people trying to stop him from building the wall are the ones who voted to build the wall 2 years before that. But because Trump was for it, they were against it. I mean, they were locked in battle against President Trump. Why? Well, because he was against their beloved world government and against socialism, and that was what they had built their whole hopes and dreams about, a world socialist government. Now you know what the real issue is.
Move Mountains with Irvin Baxter. This book by Irvin's grandson provides 30 days of devotion that will enhance your relationship with God and others. Authentic illustrations from early morning devotions at Endtime will help you find your purpose and eliminate fears. Commit to taking this 30-day journey and experience real life change. Get your book for only $14.99. Call 1-800-363-8463 or go to endtime.com/move.
If ever people needed to hear the unvarnished truth, it is now. There are some subjects that are not politically correct to talk about, but they're urgent. That's why I'm grateful for Endtime magazine. If you're not a subscriber, you're missing information that will impact your life. Endtime has a bi-monthly magazine that explains how current events are fulfilling Bible prophecy. You can get a 2-year subscription for only $29. You can also get a bulk subscription and pass them out to your church. We have gotten reports that Endtime magazine has caused spiritual awakenings in churches when they see the prophecies being fulfilled right now. You can start your own ministry and lead them in doctors' offices, libraries, laundromats. You never know if you might be responsible for saving someone who is searching for the unvarnished truth. That's what the magazine has done in many lives. Call 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463 and get your subscription today.
If your station only carries the first 30 minutes of End of the Age, go to endtime.com and click the watch button to continue today's broadcast. You can also finish up later by clicking the archive button.
We've been speaking quite a bit lately about another Jewish Holocaust ahead, and we need to. It's prophesied in the Bible. Daniel chapter 12, verse number 1 explicitly states that there's a time of trouble coming for the Jewish people, such as never been before. You know, that's hard to imagine. With the horrible things that happened under Adolf Hitler, 6 million people marched off to gas chambers and to crematoriums. It's almost unfathomable that it could happen again. But it is going to happen again. This article caught my eye. It's from the Jerusalem Post, and it was just published yesterday. It's entitled, German Commissioner Says Merkel's Envoy Boosting Anti-Semitism at the UN, at the world government, at the United Nations, of all places, that there should not be anti-Semitism. You would think it would be there, but it's not. The UN is adamantly against Israel. I mean, they have fought Israel every step of the way. Let me give you a little bit of this article. A German state commissioner to combat anti-Semitism told the Post, the Jerusalem Post, that his country's UN ambassador promotes anti-Semitism at the United Nations when he compared the Jewish state with Hamas. The comparison made by Christoph Husgen between Israel's actions and the terrorism of Hamas damages solidarity with Israel and is unfortunately apt to promote Israeli-related anti-Semitism. Uwe Becker, the commissioner, asked to fight anti-Semitism in the state of Hesse, told the Post. Becker was responding to the Post exclusive report on Thursday that the human rights organization Simon Wiesenthal's Center ranked Husgen 7th on its 2019 list of worst outbreaks of anti-Semitic and anti-Israel incidents. However, on Friday, Chancellor Angela Merkel and her foreign ministry snubbed Becker, the Israeli government, and the Central Council of Jews in Germany, all of whom have urged Foreign Minister Heiko Maas to stop condemning the Jewish state at the UN. Now, on Friday, Germany joined authoritarian regimes like the Islamic Republic of Iran, that's Iran, to vote for 7 of 8 resolutions against Israel. Now, we're talking about the world's #1 purveyor of terrorism, Israel's #1 enemy, Iran, and yet Germany votes with Iran 7 times out of 8, and on the 8th time, Berlin merely abstained with the anti-Israel resolution. Germany's foreign ministry said Husgen's voting pattern is decided in the name of Merkel's administration, which voted 16 times against Israel in 2018 and voted 17 times against the Jewish state in 2019 at the UN. The Wiesenthal's Center said that Germany is in the midst of a 2-year stint on the UN Security Council. Its UN ambassador, Christoph Husgen, created an uproar by the number of anti-Israel votes he has cast, and by his equating 130 rockets fired by terrorist Hamas at Israeli civilians in 1 week in March with the Jewish state's demolition of terrorist homes. Now let's pause a moment to make sure we got that. So Hamas fires 130 rockets. When Israel catches a terrorist that kills Jews, one of the things they do to try to create a deterrent to that is they will go and tear down the terrorist home. So when Israel does that, this Husgen from Germany thinks tearing down that person's home is as bad as firing 130 rockets into Israel. Continuing on in the article, Husgen declared, "We believe that international law is the best way to protect civilians and allow them to live in peace and security and without fear of Israeli bulldozers or Hamas rockets." Okay, did you get it? What's the answer to this? International law. Say it another way, world government. That's what we were talking about in the first half of our program today. So this same old song is being sung day after day at the United Nations. Make no mistake, the UN fully plans to continue to push until it becomes the world government of the entire world. Now, that's exactly where we are headed. And the liberals thought they had it in the bag because Obama had moved us much closer to that. He called it multilateralism, which is nothing but a euphemism for world government. And then Hillary came along, and she is a big believer in world government. Her husband, Bill Clinton, big believer in world government. And they thought sure that Hillary would take it home. But she was defeated. And the guy who's adamantly against world government is now the president. And he goes in there to clean the world government swamp in Washington, D.C., and to undo all this move toward world government. I mean, the liberals say, come one, come all. Come on into America. We don't care if you're illegal. We don't believe in walls anymore. We don't believe in borders anymore. We believe in a world without borders. That's what all this conflict is truly about. Now, the center continued that Huskin cast 16 anti-Israel votes at the UN in 2018, abstaining once. In 2019, he voted for 9 anti-Israel resolutions, including one, listen to this, I can't understand this, including one labeling Jerusalem's holiest sites as Palestinian occupied territory. We're talking about the Temple Mount where God said, I will put my name there. In the Jewish scriptures, it says, I will put my name there. It's where the first temple stood. It's where the second temple stood. And yet, this Huskin of Germany, he votes for this resolution stating that Israel's holiest sites, he called them Palestinian occupied territory, while abstaining 3 times and opposing only one anti-Israel resolution. So that's what's going on. Now, I am going to take your calls for the remainder of the program. If you'd like to be on the air with me, perhaps you have a question or a comment about some of the things we've talked about already. But don't forget, it's so critical that all of us realize what the true issue is. When you hear talk program after talk program, and they're discussing this nuance and that nuance, when we hear all this, don't forget what's really behind the hatred of Donald Trump. He is blocking what they have worked for the last almost 100 years, a one world governmental system. Now you say, what does that have to do with Bible prophecy? Well, the Bible prophesies a world government. It's going to end up terrible. This one world governmental system is going to be reigned over by the Antichrist himself. And the Bible prophesies that the United States is not going to be a part of this world government. Russia will be, Great Britain will be, Germany will be, but the United States will not be. So when you see Donald Trump pulling us out of all these global structures, out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, out of the Paris Climate Change Accord, which that was their number one play to try to pull us all into one world governmental system. When you see this happening, I'm not even sure that President Trump fully understands what he's doing. But he is actually fulfilling Bible prophecy by pulling America out of these things. And furthermore, when he aligns us with Israel, in Revelation chapter number 12, verse 14, in that whole chapter is devoted to what will happen during the last 3.5 years or so. And Satan is going to try to destroy Israel once again. But in verse 14 of chapter 12, it says, but there will be given to the woman, Israel, the woman with the 12 stars around her head. The 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of Israel. There will be given to this woman 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into her place, where she will be protected from the serpent, from the Antichrist, from Satan, and she will be protected for time, times, and half a time. It's so interesting when you see the Bible saying the eagle, America, is going to protect Israel. The eagle is not in the world government structure of Revelation 13, verse 1 and 2. But the eagle is shown protecting Israel all during the final 3.5 years. Now, 3.5 years is the length of the Great Tribulation. That's what's happening. So when we see all of these things happening, we're in the middle of this big struggle about world government. The Bible prophesies there's going to be a world government. It's going to be absolutely horrific. And yet it also prophesies America is not going to be in that world government. When I heard President Trump, before he was ever elected, in that first Republican debate, when I heard him stand there and take a strong stance against globalism, I thought, oh God, have you answered our prayer? I mean, my wife and I, and many, many other Christians, we saw how we were going down the tubes. We saw how that the Supreme Court had okayed same-sex marriage. I mean, the Bible, God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah for the sin of sodomy. And now here we are with a sodomite running for president of the United States, openly talking about his husband. It's like it's enough to make you pull your hair out if you believe the Bible at all. And a lot of people that claim to be Christian, they don't have enough backbone to stand up against it. I mean, if you're in media today, if you say anything against it, that's your death sentence. If you're a politician, not one politician has dared say one word about this open homosexual married to a man married to a man. We're acting like it's absolutely normal. But yet God said, I can't stand it. It is an abomination in my sight. I guess somebody has to say something. It might as well be me. That's where we are right now. We were on the brink of being swept right over the falls into total ungodliness. But now everything is being reversed because God intervened. That's what the issues are. We'll be right back.
Does the book of Revelation frighten you? Do its symbols confuse you? For centuries, the book of Revelation has been misunderstood and misinterpreted. In Revelation, the unveiling of Jesus Christ, Volume 1, Irvin Baxter unlocks the mystery of the book of Revelation with in-depth analysis and commentary like you've never heard before. This 10-part definitive DVD series and 268-page comprehensive commentary book covers the first 12 chapters of the book of Revelation, featuring on-location photography, classic artwork, and symbolic illustrations. You'll walk away with complete understanding and peace about the events happening during the final years on Earth. These comprehensive study tools, available for $299, will deepen your biblical understanding as you dig into the original intent of the book, answering the mysterious prophecies and symbols of the book of Revelation. Don't miss this special offer. Call now, 1-800-END-TIME, or go to endtime.com to order. Call or go online now to get this comprehensive Bible study.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we were having our supervisors meeting a few days ago, and someone said about our Revelation commentary, maybe people can't come up with $300 all at once. And so we began to think about it, and we came up with a plan so that it can be made in payments. We decided that if you would become a $50 a month partner for the next 6 months, that we will send you with your first $50 payment, which you can make today. we'll send you this gift that will be a wonderful gift for Christmas. It's not too late. So if you're interested in doing this, or let's say you're already a partner and you want to take advantage of this offer, you can up your partnership by $50 a month for the next 6 months. And we will send it right out to you. So if you're interested in doing this, just give us a call at 1-800-END-TIME. That's 1-800-363-8463. Or you can go to endtime.com. Let me see if I can get the exact address. Yes, endtime.com/Rev50, REV 50. Endtime.com/Rev50. You can handle it right there online. So if you'd like to do that, that way you can get this beautiful coveted gift for someone that really loves Bible prophecy, somebody in your family perhaps, and yet you can pay it out over the next 6 months just by becoming a partner for the next 6 months for $50 per month. Anyway, we were really excited about this offer, and we hope you'll take advantage of it. But don't wait, though, because we want to make sure we get it to you in time. You have to get this done before the 18th, and that means right away. I think what's today is the 16th, so that means you got to move immediately, preferably, well, you got a couple days, but do it today. All right, thank you very much. I'm really excited about that. Let's get right to the phones now. James is calling from right here in Texas. Hello, James.
Oh, Irvin, according to Bible scripture, I see that Brexit is going to have to fail somehow or another in order for them to be in the European Union, whether they like it or not. I just wonder if this is going to come about by very, should I say, bad means. You know what I mean?
Well,
What
James,
do you think?
Brexit does not necessarily have to fail because Britain has already joined the European Intervention Initiative, which is separate and apart from Brexit, but could well become the core power that will support the Antichrist. So just because Great Britain gets out of the European Union, it does not mean that it will continue, that it will cease to cooperate, because like you say, the lion is definitely in the world government structure. So even if Great Britain gets out of Brexit, I've been telling people this ever since it came up 2 or 3 years ago. It doesn't matter whether Britain stays in the European Union or gets out of it. She's still going to be a part of the world governmental system. For example, Russia is going to be in the world governmental system, and Russia is not part of the European Union right now. I don't know whether it ever will be or not. So just because Brexit fails, and it's supposed to fail come January the 31st, according to their new Chancellor Johnson, he's going to go ahead with it, and it looks like that may well happen, but that won't matter. Great Britain is still going to fulfill the prophecy.
Okay.
A lot of people have that question too, James, so I thank you for asking it today. Going on to our next caller, Jana's calling from right here in Texas. Hello, Jana.
Hello.
You're on the air.
Hi. I just wanted to share a dream that I had a couple of days ago.
Okay.
I had this dream that it was like I was sending. I don't know how to explain it, but I was seeing this woman, and there was like a block in front of her, and like somebody was telling me that the block was stopping something from judgment or something coming. You know, it was stopping something. And I woke up and I couldn't understand, and I was like praying. I said, okay, I said, Lord, I don't understand what that means. And I knew that from the Bible that usually a woman represents a nation, but I couldn't understand it. And yesterday, I woke up like around 3 o'clock in the morning, and I felt like the Lord was telling me that it was the woman is the United States and the black is President Trump. And I was just wondering, what do you think about this? You know?
Well, I'm not sure I can tell you that, Jana. Normally in the Bible, nations are represented by beasts. Like the lion is Great Britain, the bear is Russia, the eagle is the United States. Normally women represent the church. The Bible uses The Bible uses a virgin as the symbol of the true church and uses a harlot as a symbol of the false church. So you might think about your dream in that light. Maybe it's the church that's praying. And I want to say to everybody listening today, we need to be praying. We don't need to relax. We need to be praying that God's will be done about this next election. We need to see America totally come back, because we're not all the way back yet. We've made some progress. But ladies and gentlemen out there, I ask you, please humbly pray, and let's all seek God that he will bring our nation back to sanity. We need to get rid of the same-sex marriage. We need to get rid of these horrible, horrible, beastly abortions. We need to get rid of them. God is not pleased with these things. And so I'm just saying to you, all of us, we need to be praying between now and next November when we go back to the polls.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening to me.
Okay, Jana, thank
you. For your advice. Thank you.
My youngest daughter's name is Jana, and she lives here in Texas. And I thought, surely Jana's not calling in on my program today. But I thought maybe she had something she wanted to say. But nevertheless, Jana, it was nice to hear from you. Let's go now to Jeff from right here in Texas. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Irvin. How you doing this afternoon?
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Hey, today I was running back and forth between Revelation and Daniel. And when I was reading back over Daniel about 36 and 37 of 11, when it's talking about the Antichrist, it says, "And the king shall do according to his will." When and the rest of what 36 says, but then when you get down to 37, it says, "Neither shall he regard the God of his father, nor the desire of woman, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all." Isn't that vanity? More so, it just jumped out at me as vanity, and not that he was a gay man or had bad feelings towards women, but he wasn't going to be sidelined like Adam was with Eve, or Abraham got sidelined when he took his wife's advice and slept with Hagar.
Well, a lot of us have debated over what that means when it says he will not regard the desire of women. And some people have concluded that it means he will be a homosexual. On the other hand, though, there's another possible interpretation of that. And that is, a lot of people who are one-worlders, they believe we have too much population, that the population needs to be reduced. A lot of the New Age people thinks the population needs to be cut by at least 1/3. Well, China used to have a one-child policy. I think they allow 2 children now. But they, for a long time, had a one-child policy. And I can see the Antichrist saying, okay, we've got too many people, everybody's limited to 1 child or to 2 children. He will not regard the desire of women. The desire of women has traditionally been in the Bible to have children. I know how it was when my wife wanted to have a baby. She drove me crazy. And I'm sure that a lot of you men out there have been through that, because once a woman gets baby fever, there's no peace until there's a child born in that family. So I really sort of lean towards that, even though I don't claim to know for positive. I lean towards that stance, that he may limit the size of families in order to bring in his grand scheme of having the perfect New World Order. That's what I sort of think about it.
Okay, I was just wondering if you thought about vanity, because I'm thinking all the world leaders today, everybody's got a high regard for themselves, but that just sort of stepped it up even one point further to me. It's like, oh, okay, he puts everybody off.
Yeah,
no
and really, Jeff, as far as vanity, the Bible in another place says he will exalt himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sits in the temple of God claiming to be God. So yes, the Antichrist is going to be the ultimate vain individual, no doubt about that.
Well, we'll see one of these days, won't we?
And it may be before too long. All right,
yes, sir.
Let's go right back in the little bit of time we have left. Let's go to Brent, calling from Georgia. Hello, Brent.
Hey, how are you, Irvin?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
Hey, I've got a question for you. Last week, a couple of callers called in, and they used the word tribulation and indicated that they were really defining that as a 7-year period of time, and you encourage them to use their terminology correctly and the Scripture in the Bible. And there being 6 or 7, I think you said, scriptures in the Bible that say that the Great Tribulation is a 3.5-year period of time, but nowhere in the Bible is it defined as 7. My question for you is, when I study some of your literature there, your post-trib view is based off of some scripture in Matthew that says at the end of the tribulation of those days.
Yes.
Which indicates the rapture is going to occur at the end of the tribulation of those days.
Yes, that's right.
You define the end of the tribulation as the end of that 3.5-year period of time that, and I agree with you, I believe the last 3.5 years is Great Tribulation, but if the terminology is so specific, would you think, or have you ever heard anybody discuss, why does that scripture not say at the end of the Great Tribulation of those days that these things will happen rather than just the tribulation?
Well, it actually does, Brent. If you'll go back in the chapter, the word Great Tribulation is coined in that chapter by Jesus himself. In verse 15, Jesus said, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by the prophet Daniel stand in the holy place, then let those which be in Judea flee, because then shall be great tribulation, such as never has been before. Then it goes on to say, that's verse 21. Then you get to verse number 29. It says, immediately after the tribulation shall the sun be dark, the moon shall not give her light, the stars will fall from heaven, and then the angels shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather together his elect. So actually it does use the term Great Tribulation in verse 21.
Okay. Well, I guess that's one way to look at it. What if it simply means at the end of the tribulation of those days, that's when the abomination of desolation occurs, and then the Great Tribulation begins? I think if it's kind of odd, but if you view it in that light, then your rapture occurs on the day of the abomination of desolation.
Well, but the Bible particularly says in verse 21, then shall be great tribulation, such as never been before, nor ever again shall be. Then it goes on to say, and during that time, if they say unto you, the Messiah is in the desert, don't go forth. If they say unto you, he's in the secret chambers, don't believe it. Why? Because as the lightning flashes from the east to the west, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. And so Jesus is teaching all through there. The final 3.5 years from verse 21 on culminates in verse 29 with the end of the Great Tribulation. Totally out of time, got to let you go. Thank you very much for participating today. God bless you all. We'll see you tomorrow.
This has been End of the Age, brought to you by the faithful partners of Endtime Ministries. If you're not currently a partner with Endtime Ministries, or if you would like more information, we invite you to call us at 1-800-ENDTIME. That's 1-800-363-8463, or visit us online at endtime.com.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page.